Greetings, friends. David Marks here. There are 3 tools that we can use to make the small details in our image look crisper. In Lightroom Classic, we have sharpening, we have a separate option that Adobe calls clarity, and a third feature that Adobe calls texture. Now, I have a tutorial elsewhere where I dig deep into the global sharpening controls, so I'm not going to rehash that whole lesson here today. Instead, in this video, I want to show you how I use the texture and clarity controls with precision thanks to the new masking feature. If the way that masking works inside of Lightroom Classic is new for you, then please start with some of my more basic tutorials before you leap into this one. For those of you who are ready though, let's jump right in and let's get started. Here we have a cityscape that I shot one evening in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Before I started recording this video, I did everything that I could to tune up my original capture, including adding a bit of global sharpening using Lightroom's detail panel. I bring this up first because I want to make it clear that all of the work that I'm going to do with texture and clarity throughout the rest of this tutorial happens on top of the global sharpening that I've already applied to the whole image using this panel. When I activate or deactivate the details panel, then you can see what this image would look like with no capture sharpening applied and where we are now. It's subtle, but watch this sign here. What I hope you can see is that a little global sharpening makes this whole image a tiny bit crisper, but it does not target those changes to one particular part of this photo. At this point in my image processing workflow, I want to target additional emphasis to the fine details in the buildings only. Since it's the buildings that I'm after and not the sky, I'm going to open up the masking panel. I'm going to start things out in here by asking Lightroom to create a sky mask for me. As you can see, the program has done a fine job selecting the sky here, but what I actually want to change is the opposite. So at this point, I need to invert this mask. Let me zoom in further here using the Command and the plus keys on my keyboard. That's the Control and plus key for you PC users. Now, I'm going to take the texture slider that lives down here in the mask panel and pull it all the way up. Let me move this one up and down a few times so that you can see how this command adds snap into all of the little architectural details and the brickwork in these buildings. Good. So let me close the masking panel. And now let me split my screen so that you can see a before and after view. The image on the left is what we started with before I added any masks or texture. And the one on the right is what we get with the texture slider turned all the way up. To my eyes, our finished product is way better, and the added fine details in these buildings really adds to this image. Now, I've probably overdone things here. If I wanted to, I could open up the masking panel again, and then I could click on my mask and move that texture slider down to a more reasonable setting. While I'm in here, I might also add a little bit of noise reduction, since the addition of all this micro contrast seems to have accentuated some color noise troubles in these buildings. But rather than worrying too much about getting all of these settings perfect right now, let me show you why I chose to use texture selectively rather than applying this kind of edge enhancement to my entire image. If I open up the basic panel, then you can see that we have a texture and clarity slider at the top of the present section. These 2 sliders are here for those who are looking to make quick global tweaks to their overall image, and for those who don't understand how masks work. The problem with doing something heavy-handed, something like cranking the texture slider all the way up, is that these sliders, they affect the entire image. Watch what happens here in the sky. To the left of this skyscraper, if I pull the global texture slider all the way up. It's small, but can you see how cranking this one up brought out a lot of speckled noise and even some color blotchy noise here in the sky? Of course, I am overdoing it again. There is no reason why you would need to drag this slider all the way up. But any addition of fine edge contrast makes no sense to me for the sky in this kind of photo. Micro contrast turns these nice puffy clouds into something that looks, well, almost menacing. Let me reset this one, and then I'm going to hop over to a different type of example. If there's a central theme to this tutorial, then it has to be that the way that you use texture and clarity on one image might not make any sense on another. In this one, for example, I'm going to add more pop specifically into my subject, the waterfall in the back, in a second, but I also want to add a little more edge contrast into the entire image. I've already used Lightroom's global sharpening controls here, but I think that adding about 20 units of texture to the whole photo will set a nice level of additional micro contrast for the whole image. That little pop of texture helped the whole photo, but my goal is still to draw your attention to the waterfall as much as I can. For that, I need to open up the mask panel again. And in this case, I think that a brush will do just fine. Next, I'm going to bring the texture and clarity sliders up. Now, give me a second to paint some detail in here. Let's see how that did. That looks good, and I bet that adding a few more tweaks might make this waterfall look even better. There we go. Let me close this panel, and let's see how this compares to our original. Now I am pleased. The whole image on the right, the after, looks much crisper to me, and my eyes are much more interested in the higher contrast, better defined waterfall in the back. Hopefully, your eyes have a similar response. And I hope that you're seeing how useful the texture and clarity controls can be when we're guiding our viewers' attention around our images. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you learned something today, then please hit the subscribe button and leave us a like or a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next tutorial.